I just learned that I have to be live on Facebook for 60 days before I can stream on there, which kind of caused some tech issues. So, anyway, this is after the show. Little thing I do on my personal brands as the DeFi professor. Shout out to everybody. Hopefully everyone's doing well. Let's see. Well, I almost got phished again. So we're going to go over that. We're going to talk about some of the issues and some of the red flags that can happen. But I need to pull that up real quick. So just give me a second to do that. Hopefully everyone's having a good day. It is Wednesday, February 4th. Fairly outside of BTC continuing to fall, fairly inconspicuous day. So let me grab sorry for the dead air. I'm just like, that's weird. I just got a weird email calling me the cross-chain cabal. What does that mean? What does that mean, sir? All right, I'm gonna keep it fairly quick with it because I don't want to. I mean, obviously, the person who's contacting me, I don't think they're a scammer. I think they probably just got exploited. So I just want to make sure that they are, fairly protected in this case. I'm going to bring up the two things specifically that, well, were really sketchy. Right. Let me bring up that actual screenshot. The actual screenshot's interesting. Okay. So let me do two things. Let me grab my screen so you can see this. Okay. So this is the screen where I realized that this was not legitimate. Now, what can I tell you about what happened here? Well, let's definitely look at the red flags. We'll call them the red flags. First off, this domain clearly is not right. us38web.us, right? zoom.us 38web.us. It's normally the other way around. It's normally something.zoom.us for an actual link. But here's the fun part. Here's the fun part that shows me they're learning. Zoom.us web38.us. Oh, sorry. Did they take that down already? us38web.us. 38web. It's very important you pay attention to this part. So, it actually redirects to zoom.com. That's a very important distinction here because in most cases, that would make you think that it's most likely a legitimate link, right? I was like, okay. Well, it now it didn't quite pull up. Yeah, it just could have been a redirect, right? The other part that I should have paid attention to was this portion right here. The recording, I didn't actually get a calendar invite. I got an email with this recording link, and it had the success piece open, which I guess is also fine. But there's two things to think about to think about with specific with this link. Issue number one is that sometimes people say don't use the Zoom Workplace app. That's the actual app that lives on your, on your computer. And make that bigger. It actually lives on your computer, and when you actually go here, it'll actually pull up that app. In this case, that was a good thing, right? I was clicking on the link, and my Zoom was not actually picking up. I'm like, well, that's weird. I mean, obviously the domain was weird, but when I double checked to make sure, zoom.us38web.us, obviously at that point I knew but I was like thinking, well, maybe there's just something else amiss, right? Because the person who contacted me, they're with an actual company, they have had multiple activity on their Twitter. They are normal. They seemingly are normal. They seemingly have interviewed quite a few people over the past, couple of months at least. And, they're not a new account. So I was like, okay, well, I guess we're okay. Now, the other part too is that their Central European time, UTC plus 1, which is, again, not a huge deal. When I go to check out the gentleman who is reaching out to me, and I'll go ahead and put him on here because there's a chance that he actually has been exploited. It says Japan. I'm like, well, I know they're UTC plus 8. Like they're like 15 hours ahead. So I'm like, well, maybe there was just a weird coincidence. Maybe he's traveling. Who knows? I mean, they're doing a podcast. So, again, looking through these things, they seemingly look normal, right? And I'm sure this gentleman most likely is normal. He just had his Telegram hacked. Would be the way I would think about it. So, didn't pull up Zoom when I clicked on this link, and it should have. Maybe not, but even then, I was like, well, maybe I'll just go through the browser, right? So I open the browser, and it takes me to, actually see, the link I'm clicking isn't working, 1 sec, and see what's interesting here. And this is the other part that kind of was like, we won't be using Riverside today, and that I'm like, okay, why wouldn't you use Riverside's higher quality? Send the invite here. We'll be joining in about 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, so now maybe there's people coming. And I was like, okay, that's weird. But then I said, just the quality of the grammar after this point just started getting really, really glitchy, I guess would be the word I would use. And then that brought us here to this specific one. When I opened it up, in this one, I'm like, oh, but this is clearly not real. Join meeting timeout or browser restriction, use our app. I'm like, whatever, dude. And it really wasn't. First off, this is not the regular Zoom bar. This definitely doesn't happen. And then my name is in Russian, or whatever name that is in Russian. I was like, this is clearly not real. And then, they were messaging like, hey, are you trolling me, bro, or what, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, well, set up Riverside then. So they're like, okay, let me set up Riverside. And then it came up with another, normally if you have a Riverside studio link, it's riverside.fm/studio, whatever. And they gave me some link that was riversidepro.com. I'm like, the hell? Is that even real? Riversidecorp.pro. And I sat there, I was like, and this is where AI becomes a problem, right? Because they have easily just replicated the entire Riverside site, pixel by pixel. Even all the links work, right? If I just go to, let's see, Help Center. Maybe not. Okay, well, they got all the ones that they needed to, right? Because I was like, blog, that works, Riverside University. Yeah, it'll take you exactly to where you think it is. Start for free. Okay. So for people who don't know what's happening, you'll easily, most likely fall prey to this. So once I saw that, I was like, so I sat there and I was like, well, what can I do to figure out, what's going on with these people, right? So I noticed that there were multiple groups who are talking. Well, not here. Okay, Web3 podcast team is what the project is. So there's multiple people here, right? So I was just like, well, that's Sachi. This is Diksha. So I was like, so what I said was this. Let's see, which one did I not show already? Yeah, it's this one. Actually, this one. Yeah, so are you trolling me or what the problem? See, notice how the difference in the grammar, whereas like all of this here, and then the second time they're typing like they're eating fried chicken with one hand, right? While typing. And it's like, oh, these are clearly not the same people. Yeah, this is clearly not the same. I'm clearly trying to get yoinked right here. And the worst part is that it was 7 a.m. my time. I don't know if so many people don't know my sleeping schedule, but I don't go to bed till like 2:30, 3 o'clock. So, but, depending on who it is, because I met the person who reached out to me was someone that went into, I'm not going to say their name because I like them, but it's like a group that I've met at ETH Denver and I've talked to them multiple times. They're a podcasting group. They've been very nice to give me multiple spaces where I can talk. So people reach out to me all the time and like, hey, I hear you're an educator, or like, hey, do you want to be on my podcast? I'm like, well, yeah, I'm all about being on other people's podcasts because I'm trying to make DeFi accessible to people out there, right? For me, it's like, yes, I want to get my brand out there. I want to get Beacon's brand out there as DeFi education. I want people to know that what the cause is something that's worthy of being shown on, as because ultimately for most creators the problem isn't content. There are people who are out here creating content to 0 likes. Been there, done that many years. The problem is distribution. So if there is someone who comes in to a place that I feel is a safe space for things like that, and they have reputable things, I'm like, all it takes is 1 or 2 people to really just get the snowball starting. So people reach out to me, frankly, weekly. Like, hey, would you like to be on my podcast? I'm so-and-so. My email inbox probably has 4 or 5 people every 3 days that are asking for, can I recommend this guest for your podcast? Or would you like to come on our podcast? I'm looking at the email, domains, and half of them are like gibberish. So I know that they're not real. Even in Twitter DMs, I've had people reach out to me. Hey, I'm a scout for a VC thing. Would love to learn more about what you're building. Want to jump on a call? Sure. Obviously, we've never taken VC funding, but I'm always looking for partnerships that make sense, right? Because one thing too is with what we do with DeFi education, honestly, our sweet spot are high net worth individuals. So if somebody's with a VC firm or has a family office looking for people to actually educate them with experience, that's where we come in. That's actually our wheelhouse. So yeah, I get them all the time. It's really sad, to be quite honest, how often people reach out looking to scam me. So yeah, 2 things you can do. Obviously, identify the red flags. This person did not reach out to me. They asked me last week about this. I'm like, sure. Didn't reach out with any details. I'm like, well, I guess we're going to wait till the day of, which sucks because, I didn't get a ton of sleep. But the email was sketchy. But I was like, let's just see how far down the rabbit hole goes. Because I haven't downloaded anything, right? I didn't click a bad link. I didn't sign up for anything. And this is, it looks up until this point, it looks fine until we get to here. Then I'm like, I can't believe this person wasted my time. They're getting better is really the thing, guys. I mean, I normally when I talk to people through my through my business development function, my BD function at Beacon, I generally try and get them onto my calendar because that works better, right? If I'm on somebody else's calendar, like I remember one guy's like, yeah, join here, you can schedule some time on my calendar, and the username on the Calendly.com was founder, and I'm like, who the hell has the username founder? I'm just like thinking, I'm like, this is not someone who is legitimate in most cases. So it's unfortunate that, especially right now, all these layoffs, that's the other thing too, guys. I know there are a lot of people who may be watching, or you may know someone who has recently been laid off or is looking for a job. There's a lot of scam websites out there for people just looking for a job, which is unfortunate because, I mean, you're already, for a lot of people, you're in a situation where you don't feel good about yourself. You're upset, you're anxious, and you're really just looking for anything that looks like a good lead. Unfortunately, some of these leads are malicious, and it's my job to at least point some of these out so that you don't fall in that same trap. So, because what happened to me could happen to anybody, and they may not realize it. And the moment you click on use our app, download and execute it, toast. There's some nasty shit out there, guys, that you don't want to get involved on your system. So 2 things. Obviously, try and draw it out if you think it's not legitimate. Sometimes, I just had someone, someone from a very popular infrastructure company reached out to me, and on my Telegram, and they weren't legitimate either. So luckily, I found them on LinkedIn, and I asked them, hey, I just wanted to double check. Did you reach out to me about this? And 9 times out of 10, someone will respond. And normally tell me, no, I'm sorry, that's someone impersonating me. So unfortunately, we're just in this stage where there's a lot of people impersonating people. So if you're out there, just be very careful. Take your time. Look for the signs. I mean, this is not what Zoom looks like. Unfortunately, with the power of AI, we're getting to a point where sometime soon the web one will look correct, and you may not realize where you're at. So looking at things like, the domain, right? Look at the domain, understand the patterns. These are things that you kind of have to understand and recognize. Another thing too is unless it's like meant to, like I use this setup all the time, even for regular BD calls. I would recommend, if you have the ability to do so, utilize like a tablet or like a phone that has access to one of the apps to take calls. You don't want to give them access to anything that would have any significant information or even access to information. That's one thing you definitely don't want to do. So that's the other thing. Your other option is create another user profile on your computer that is not root, not administrative user, has no access and literally has nothing on the account but a web browser. If you want to be in a situation where you have a copy of Zoom or something like that, maybe a third-party free user, so again, you get 40 minutes for free or something like that, whatever. There's things you can do to kind of get into that, to just have this isolation. Because the last thing you want to do is be in a situation where someone can just go and yoink you. Get got, as we say. Because this is just terrible. Once I saw this, I was like, ugh. They seemed fairly legitimate, and unfortunately, most people don't realize they've been compromised. In fact, in the case of, here in the case of Kenzie Kim, it could be that both his Twitter and his Telegram are taken. So he has no idea that he's actually been compromised, or if he has no way to go out and actually say, anything. What do you do here? You know? Same thing here too. Scammers may pose our partners offering participations. These are traps. Ironic that their founder is got compromised. So that also leads to like more things that I've talked about, right? Ultimately, the one thing you certainly want to do is you want to make sure that you're doing all the things that you should be doing from a security standpoint, right? I'm just going to my Zora here, if you just to pull up that specific graphic, right? Again, this is on my Zora. If you want to participate, feel free. Really appreciate all the love that this has gotten. Did really well in the Betterment round as well. You just want to make sure that you're staying safe, and again, you want to make sure you're using a password manager. You're in a situation where you're really compartmentalizing all your risk. You don't want to be in a situation where you put anything at risk, right? Yeah, the fact that I didn't get a calendar invite, which is what I was expecting, and I got this instead. I mean, that was red flag number one. The domain was red flag number two, but I was like, you know what? Let me look at it. I would definitely also recommend and I don't know if you can't see it from here. My wallets here are now on, and I'm following my advice, right? There's just something that's good. I have auto locked all my wallets. My wallets are not going to open unless they have the passwords put in. So all we need now is like 2FA on wallets, because I know that, well, Avalanche at least has biometrics baked into the latest upgrade, which I think is Etna. Yeah, are we at Etna? Because we're not at this. We're at, I think it's Etna is the upgrade. Regardless, biometrics, and they're actually talking about it for Ethereum as well, greater EVM, to have biometrics included into your 2FA on all of your applications. Now, obviously, if you have a hardware wallet, that's one thing, but if you don't have that, how would you get that to work? Passkeys is good. You should use passkeys. If you don't have passkeys, I highly recommend using passkeys. What that does is it requires you to actually have a device that can unlock, like my phone has passkeys here. I use 1Password specifically for that. And I have to scan a QR code, biometrics, before it goes through. And then you don't have to worry about knowing your full password. And I don't know my passwords anyway. I just use 55 character passwords. I just have to remember my master password. So yeah, these are all things that matter. These are all things that make a lot of sense in my opinion, and you just have to be very careful. So if you're a creator in this space and you're looking to collaborate with others, this kind of puts like a little bit of a damper on that, right? Because now it's just like, because I remember I sat there, I'm like, man, I don't even want to go to, it actually kind of pulled a lot of energy out of me. I was like, ugh, this sucks. Like, now I don't really want to do anything. I just want to sit here and, go find a piece of pie or something and just eat my troubles away. Because I'm like, I can't believe again that someone has tried to try and phish me. And this happens all the time. It happened today. It happened last week. Thankfully, and one thing too, I'd always recommend, if you're gonna be on somebody else's podcast, always ask for old episodes or just like a link to where you can watch old episodes. And if they're not willing to give that to you, or like that's just something they don't have, that's a huge red flag, right? Now, if they're just first starting out, that's one thing, but yeah. With that said, I'm always down to work with smaller creators. I'm always down to work with any project who wants to have me on. Ultimately, it's about distribution, it's about awareness, it's about getting everything out there. And I was really excited to talk to these guys about, the importance of education, safety, and security in decentralized finance and on-chain, and getting people to be excited about, telling everybody about how to be safe on-chain. So we'll see. Okay, so the one big thing that I talked about today was with OpenClaw. I do want to see where we are at with the market today, though. Oh, it looks like these are going back up. Lighters up 6. Hype back up 6. Monero up 1.2, but they got thrashed. Gold obviously took a huge hit too, but they're back on the up. So, uh, we'll see exactly where we go from here. But gold still hanging around that 5K mark is a good sign overall. But yeah, hype continuing to move upwards. The announcements with outcomes for HIP 4 is huge. Definitely check out the podcast from today. It's on all of my socials if you want to check that out. We talked specifically about Jupiter with Polymarket, and there are other announcements from Cat Lumper. And then we also talked about the Clarity Act stuff, right? But the first thing we did talk about was OpenClaw. Where's the one? Yeah. Now I haven't tried this, but I mean, there's a lot of people using Claude bots, or we'll call them Open Claude bots, to try and arb Polymarket and Kalshi. I mean, it's something you can do, guys. I'm not obviously not financial advice. I haven't thought to do it. I'm one of those people. It's like if I try something, it's like way late, right? I just know it. Like it's almost like I have like a death touch, where I'm just like the ultimate bottom signal or the ultimate top signal when it comes to stuff like that. So oftentimes I'll just kind of just check things out. But I am looking at figuring out how to make OpenClaw work for me. I was just reading this. I don't even know if I can find it anymore. Oh no. No, no, no. Oh no, this is not good. Oh god. I'm trying to figure out where that. So this I don't think I bookmarked it. There's a let me get back to my. Let me go back to my big noggin, so I'm not like hurting myself here. Yeah, I didn't bookmark it. I should have. I should have. Well, anyway, what this person did with her bot. Oh, this is it. Okay, got it. Wow. Gave it an actual name and everything. What? Has a wish list? That's some crazy work. One-off asks, buy something for me this morning. I realized the hydrogen peroxide bottle is running out, so I asked Ava to add it to my Amazon cart. I'm not going to ChatGPT anymore to run deep research. Ava handles that for me. Vibe coding a report landing page, asking Ava to create a lot of interfaces for things that I want to present to the team or visualize using Vercel as a skill for this. I will say Vercel V0 is good. For free, you can create something that it'll be V0 branded, but if you're just looking to prototype something, Vercel is, man, cracking on that stuff. Content, calendar invites. So this is the now she has. I don't like this, by the way. I am not a fan of using Telegram for this or WhatsApp. I don't even know if I'd want Signal to do this, to be honest. But maybe Signal's a way to go. I don't know. Either way, apparently added the hydrogen peroxide. I mean, is that a wake word? Girl? Bruh? That sounds like something my kids would say. You got it, bruh. That's a good question. Token usage. $10. What the actual? I've spent $250 so far just using Opus. Hell to the no. It's cool, but it's not that cool. Now, you don't have to use Opus, right? It just kind of depends on what you're looking to do. I know there's a couple of different ways where you can save a ton of money and not use Opus. Like you use Kimi, using like Venice might be an option, something like that. Venice AI, shout out to Eric Voorhees on the crew at Venice.ai. But I mean, I'm looking. So the main reason I'm looking at using OpenClaw is for the research portion. If I can figure out a way to get 3 hours, 4 hours a day back and not doing research, I will do it. It's worth it just to hang out with my kids. It's worth it to hang out with my wife. I spend 50 plus hours a week doing research. Actually, the one thing that I would like for OpenClaw to do is prune my followers list. If I don't know if anybody else has this issue, but and this is my open plea to Nikita Beer. I have roughly less than 3K followers. I follow 7,500, mainly because I am doing a ton of research, right? I can show you right now. A lot of these things are just projects. They're mainly projects, you know? Now, some aren't, but, and sometimes if I'm doing some replies, I'll do the person a solid. If I see something on my timeline that looks interesting that I want to engage in conversation, I will follow them before I do the reply. Mainly because I don't know, I just figure it's nicer that way, right? But I've got a ton of different projects in here that I follow, always looking for stuff. My bot would literally go through, read as many of these tweets as possible, and look for the best things to kind of prune and pull out. That's the one thing that I'm pretty sure I want my assistant to do. And the other thing would be to help out with, creating the beacon spotlight, where I look and find the best rates in all of DeFi. Mainly because it's not easy finding that stuff. I'll show you an example of what that looks like. Oh, that's fine. Oh, my live server, not live. This is from December 11th. But, go through. This takes a lot of work, 5-6 hours sometimes. Going through everything that's out there, all ecosystems, right? So trying to figure out how I can easily do that. Because frankly, there's no easy way. You can't do it through automation because there's only the interfaces change. Trying to figure out the best way to read that. Without getting API access, which is expensive, there's no way to do it that makes sense easily. Now, if I were to use an AI assistant like that I would train on the skill, like, hey, this is what we're looking for, that type of thing. That would be different. I've thought about using Perplexity because Perplexity has the workers specifically for things like that. That could be something to do. But, yeah. Curious to see exactly how I can have this work. Now I have multiple computer systems that I can use to put this on. I have 4 Raspberry Pis. I could put it on one of those. Yeah, all of this stuff. The problem is that it does work with Signal. The moment that you give an AI agent a browser and some credentials, that's where things can get a little shifty. And for me, I'm not a security paranoid person, but I like having good security. Obviously, that's what I do for a job. right? Is helping people stay safe and secure in this space. So if I were to go down because I gave, I gave my agent too much freedom, that's a bad look on me. So for me, I am like very hesitant to really look into this and really just set it all up. Now I want to, right? But it won't be on this system. This is right now I'm streaming from my MacBook Pro, but I would probably, I have a Windows PC here on a test bench, with just parts and open air that I'll most likely run it on. But yeah, there's a lot of power here, and clearly a lot of people are making money using it. That's not my main goal specifically. Obviously, it's nice to make money using something like this, but like if we go here and check out, if we check out Alex Finn's Henry bot. Really? Managing my to-do list and PK and personal key management. That's ballsy. Although the managing stuff, and that's the other part for me too, is that I'm looking to do a better job of putting out short form content, building the brand. I've been an editor for a long time. I know my way around, video edits pretty well. It takes a long time. And frankly, for a lot of things, CapCut is fine, but it's not going to cut it, right? But I need a better workflow. And maybe I could create the bot that can do that. I don't know if those things work well for stuff like that. I don't know. But if Opus can do it, then maybe my OpenClaw bot could do that. Now I haven't had a chance to look at what Anthropic has done to as an answer to this. I know I have a bookmark that I checked that multiple people have sent me with regards to Boris Cherny, who's the creator of Claude Code. But some things that Alex Finn's Claude bot named Henry has done, which is again fascinating, low-key terrifying, but fascinating. Added over $10,000 of revenue in 10 days. Wrote a script for a video that has over 500,000 views on YouTube. Built and launching a full app without even asking. These are all crazy. Yeah, the fact that it figured out how to use Twilio, get its own phone number, and started calling him when he wakes up is, to me, that was just like, all right, now we're looking at like Planet of the Apes type of shit, right? Because then you saw like the release like Moltbook, Moltver, all of these crustacean themed versions of the internet as we know it today, just all with agents. The agentic invasion like began. And the funny part about this is that I was just sending some messages to some good friends of mine who one I used to work with, and a couple that also work in IT, and I just asked them straight out, what do you think about Claude /Moltbot /OpenClaw? And none of them had any idea what I was talking about. They're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, really? I figured everybody would be talking about OpenClaw, but no. Out to a lot of bigger circles, this just isn't out there, unless you're on Twitter, which a lot of some are, some aren't, but this is all very interesting. So, as much as I would love to build out my bot in the open, I think it's a bit of a security risk to do so. So, I'll probably just kind of build it and kind of provide a couple of some thoughts, but I could certainly use it as some extra pairs of hands for things that I've been looking to do. That would be helpful, because there are some things that, because I I have undiagnosed ADHD, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty damn ADHD because I'm a squirrel shiny kind of guy. Um, I will get hyper fixated on something and then suddenly forget about everything else I was supposed to do. Is really that's literally the truth of how my life is. It's like, ooh, shiny. Oh, and then I'll just like sit there. Like I was supposed to come on for this stream, at 5 p.m. Eastern. I sat here for like 15 minutes, just zoned out, totally forgetting about the time. Um, Story of my life. But yeah, this is all very compelling. Now, with that said, there are people who have been exploited on this. So please be very careful. I would definitely look for anything that tells you a little bit more about keeping your stuff super safe. Let me grab. I will say I'm very interested in this because I do use, so I do have Olama on my Mac. I think I might have uninstalled it already. Um, this is this is from ByteDance, the parent company of what used to be TikTok. It runs 100% locally, runs any desktop app, browse websites, 100% open source without, well, it needs an internet connection, but it can do all the tasks that it needs without an internet connection. But it's 100% open source. Obviously, I'm going to look for some other thoughts on this. But the idea of being able, because what this person said is completely my thought. Offline automation is a huge deal. If there's any way that you can do offline automation that you don't have to touch and you can kind of trust to make sure that it does things for you, it's good stuff. I can edit my videos in Premiere. I mean, that's what everybody's looking for, right? That'd be fantastic. I think it's only a matter of time for something like this to do things locally, right? Like the one thing I would have my assistant do is I would have the moment that I hit the stop button on my podcast, I would most likely click a button to kick off an automation where my assistant would then, or at least let's just say that they know my calendar, or I just mention, hey, I'm going live for so and so, and then I don't know, 3 hours later, it looks for, it tries to identify on my external hard drive, the recording file for that, and then it takes it automatically, runs it through a transcriber that I have, and takes a transcription file, and then analyzes the transcription file, looks for places that could be interesting short form content, outline that, put it in a file, and then from there open up DaVinci Resolve, find those, clip them, and then put them into a folder for me to look at and then figure out if it's worth doing. Now, the interesting part about the edit is they would actually also have to edit and create the look of what that should look like. And I think that's probably still far beyond what an AI assistant could do. But imagine if it could do that, how useful that would be. Just the transcription part, period, is nice. Or even just creating the file, just saying, hey, I think these would be great clips, clip from here to here. That would save some time. Actually, I take that back. You could use something like YTDLP or FFmpeg to do that. I guess that could be something you could do to create clips. There's a way to do it, I'm sure. But that would be great. because I don't necessarily need them to do the work. I just need them to do enough of the heavy lifting so that I can then go through with the final steps and just say, I want to be the last line of defense. I want to be the end all be all of saying, yes, let's do this. Hey to Blake. Hey Blake, just looking through the chats, looking in the arena. Shout out to everybody in the arena. Shout out to everyone on Retake. Shout out to everybody on Abstract, on Den.show. Hello to all of you. So yes, I do go through and I check the chats. I have to do those manually, unfortunately, through because of the way they're set up. But you know, if you're on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, I can see you here. And to Zora too. Shout out to everybody there. So, yeah, I mean those are really my thoughts. I'm really big into, like, I'm a huge efficiency junkie, so I'm down for, you know, whatever that could mean, whatever that would look like. And I'm excited to try and, you know, figure out what we can do to make things a lot easier for me. Because that just makes easier for me to be more present, but also gives me the opportunity to get you more guys more content. Because there's always content. I mean, the problem is that there's 900 plus blockchains in existence. Roughly about 200 are active, and probably about, let's call it 35 that have enough activity to warrant looking at it, right? And I'm talking even about things like Pulse Chain, Algorand, Filecoin, ICP, stuff like that. Those all have people who care about it, and you know, things that have information that could be interesting, even for something like Stacks or Rootstock, the BTCL2. So trying to stay on top of all that is just a monumental task, to the point where it's not like oversaturation, right? I have a specific type of curation that I like to do, and if I could actually train an AI model to do that, or an AI system to do that, that would be fantastic. Because one thing too about, you know, being in this space, and I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, there's very few people like me. If I were to hire coaches, for example, for our mentoring at Beacon DeFi, it's hard. There's not a lot of people out there like me that can work with people, help them understand how to get onboarded correctly. You know, what's the right wallet to use, you know, looking at portfolios, understanding mechanics, DeFi protocols, you know, all of that, that's hard to find, guys. So being able to actually create people who can do that, probably the better way to go, I'll be honest. You look at those commercials with the people watching, like, you know, the insurance commercial where they're talking to some robot, that's some animatronic robot that's talking, and they have no empathy. That's what I worry that it's like. Sorry, if you guys don't know, I have a blanket here because it's freezing. It's always freezing here in the basement. Even in summer, I'll be wearing a hoodie because it just gets super cold down here. But, yeah. So yeah, really interested to see how this all works out. I definitely want to use OpenClaw or something like it. You know, let's look for the Boris. I haven't looked at the Boris Cherny. Let me grab it, because I promised my friend Mark at Addressable that I would that I would look at it. I just haven't had a chance. So let's look. There we go. It's from January. Is it really from January 2nd? That can't be. Well, it's called Co-work, is what it's called now. And the issue with, it's not an issue, But I mean, the reality is if you're going to use it, you have to have a Claude, at the very minimum, $100 a month payment plan. All right. I'll make this bigger so if you want to read along, I'm just going to skim. He runs 5 Claude terminals, so Claude CLI, which is how I liked it. I don't actually run Claude code in a terminal. I should. I actually run Gemini CLI in the terminal. They can do a variety of things. I also run 5 to 10 Claudes on the web. I'd like to see your setup, sir, for RAM. Yeah, because what I would love for my AI assistant is like, go check out, and the reality of our industry, if you follow a lot of things in crypto and DeFi, practically everything is said on Twitter. Some things on Farcaster, but, I follow 7,500 accounts. I can't go through and read all of that and look to see what's interesting. My assistant could, at least give me 10x what I can do on my own. Okay. They have their own Claude Markdown file. I will say the one thing I haven't done very much of in my career as a programmer is done code review in a work from home setting or from a remote setting. Most of our code reviews have always been in person, so I'm actually quite curious to see how well this works. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure you still have meetings where everybody's like on a Zoom call, right? And going through things. Plan mode. Okay. So people will ask me, what do you think about people using AI to code? Perfectly fine with it. And I tell you that as a university level professor who has taught multiple cohorts on how to become a software developer. People are like, are you afraid of them cheating? I'm like, no, I'm more afraid about them not being able to solve the problem. Because when you are a software developer, you are there to solve a problem. You're not there to show me and dazzle me with all the code that you know. That's fine. But you're there because you're trying to solve a problem as quickly as possible, right? Not sit there and show me 5 or 6 helper classes and utilities you've written that make life easier for you. That's great. Awesome. But frankly, I could really give a shit. It's about, do you understand logic? Do you understand patterns? That's the key. You want to be a software developer? No patterns, no logic. Because if you know logic, like if this, then that, or for this, or while this is going on, do this, that's all you really need. Because all programming languages have logic at the core. And the syntax, or the actual code that you write, is really just an expression of that. Yes, there are some things that, are a bit nuanced. For example, like tertiary functions or something like that, right? Inline functions, things that are cute. Things like the Elvis operator or something like that. Or even state management. Ultimately, as long as you understand patterns and you understand logic, that's all that matters. Why? And this is something I tell all my students. You should be developing for the programmer who has to read your code after you. What does that mean? That means when you're writing code, there is a chance you may not be maintaining that code. In most cases, you are. But there are some cases where, hey, you got promoted. Hey, you got fired. Or hey, you're moving to a different project. Someone else is taking over your code base. You have to make sure that the person who is taking over your code base can read your code. This is why we have coding standards. This is why we have, specific things on comments, on, the way we name our variables, the way that we need to have consistency for, variable naming standards. So when we write test cases and stuff like that, they all work out and they all, look right. I've I worked with multiple people who are like, I don't need comments because the best code comments itself. And I'm like, that is such a bullshit way to look at it, because not everybody is going to be you, and not everyone's going to want to maintain your code. And this is why I'm okay with vibe coding to a degree, because frankly, even at some of the biggest places in the world, they don't really write code anymore. You write what we call pseudocode, and then it goes and creates the code to generate all that in a very good standardized way that makes the most sense for what people are trying to do. One of my favorite utilities ever for front-end web development is a tool called Emmet. Emmet's great because it's a language all on its own. I'm not going to demonstrate it here, but to be able to just write out just code, and it generates all the HTML and CSS for you in one line or in a bunch of lines and makes it pretty, that's what you want. Anything to save you time, but in a way that's compliant and still works well. And that's the beauty of using vibe coding and using it for that purpose. You're not putting people out of a job. Believe me, there are plenty of places that are all about do more with less, but also they need more FTEs. They need people specifically, and if you don't want to be a programmer, consider working in something like DevOps. Is it boring? Yes, but you're making money. And DevOps is just developer operations. It's funny because you have actual developers, and you have DevRel, which is developer relations, and you have developer operations, DevOps, that handles all of the CI/CD stuff, all of the releases, all of the, and sometimes testing can fall under DevOps as well. They're in charge of making sure that once you put in a fix and it works out well, it easily moves that all the way up through all of the testing, all of the development or QA environments, up all the way to production. I just hit my mics twice. Anyway, I'm just waxing poetic on software development today. But essentially, I'm fine with these tools, because when you can actually solve problems faster, it allows developers, managers, and even stakeholders to move on to other parts of the roadmap of the epics, the stories, the features, whatever you have moving on in your, in your structure, to go faster, to do other things. Faster means money. The faster you get to market, the more you can sell new customers, the more revenue that comes in. I mean, gone are the days of waterfall. I mean, there's still places that are waterfall or wagile, if you want to call it, that, it takes half a calendar year to put out something, which sucks. Whereas when you iterate with lean and you can actually get there faster, I mean, you're making more money. And I don't think most people can argue with that. Now, there's a difference between good boilerplate and just being stupid. When you go out there and you're vibe coding and you leave all of your credentials out there, what do you want me to tell you when you get exploited? You also have to understand what it means to be safe and secure in this space, regardless if you're a programmer, an investor, anything. Take the time to invest in security. It's the one thing you do have control over. Anyway, I've just been rambling. My goodness. I was expecting something else, I'll be honest. I'm like, okay, cool. Great. But I will say, there is something about this, the poly market arbitrage, that might be worth looking into if you know your way around code. Because Because I will say, if there's one thing that people are doing to make money, it's arbitraging on Polymarket. Now, what does that tell you about the state of data on Polymarket? Well, it's not the best, is it? Because if you're sitting here looking at seeing it, half these markets, are they washed because people are going through and trying to arb as much as possible? That could be a problem, right? If half of these groups here are really just inflated because bots are coming through and trying to buy as much and then sell towards the peak of whatever the market is on each of these. Yeah, I mean that's something you can't really defend. With that said, the fact that Polymarket, Kalshi, Limitless, Melee, Predictfully, Orderly, OpinionX, or what, I'm just naming companies at this point. The fact that their data has become such an interesting part of the ethos of business, to me, is still shocking. The fact that Google would shell out billions of dollars to both Polymarket and Kalshi to use their data because they think it's enough of a marker for the way people feel about certain events, to me is just fascinating. Mainly because I know that there are bots washing this all the time. But I mean, is this the best way? I mean, this needs to be. I guess he could unnominate Kevin Warsh, or Kevin Warsh could just not take the nomination. I guess there's that. But you would think that this market's done. Breaking. Oh, Cloudflare. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking to get into something, if you're looking to figure out how best to possibly make a little bit of money, I mean, people have been making some pretty crazy dough with Polymarket. We'll call it quiet sniping. Again, not financial advice. I'm just on your screen. These are just things I'm seeing. Do I condone it? No. But, if you need to make money. Granted, I don't know how much money you would have to put in to even make it worth it. There was the person who put was it $100 and made 2.2 million because they flipped it 12 times. I mean, that's the same odds you get on pump.fun. All you have to do is go all in, 12 times and you're a millionaire. In general, that's how it works, right? Anyway, again, we had a good show today. Wasn't much we could really talk. I could really get any opinions on because unfortunately my two panelists couldn't make it. Some last minute emergencies that popped up. So hopefully, Ken's already said he'll be back next week. Probably Robert will too. We'll figure out what's going to happen. But we did talk about OpenClaw for a little bit. We did talk about the Clarity Act. We talked a lot about Jupiter, specifically with what's going on. Just the move for them to get Polymarket is a brilliant masterstroke. Getting this in the hands of people everywhere, because the one thing that Polymarket needs is speed. Nothing against Polygon, of course, but they're like, yeah, we want to get to 100,000 TPS. They're not there now. They're not anywhere close to it. They're not sniffing anywhere close to 1,000 TPS. It might they've run some tests to make things faster, but that doesn't help Polymarket right now. Polymarket needs fast execution, and they need to handle a ton of infrastructure. Jupiter can do that for them. So that is a master stroke of working together with what they have on their side, because Kalshi is overall partnered on Solana. That was a huge deal. Let me see if I can find that tweet. Yeah. Yeah. No, this happened. This happened. Yeah, this was right before Coinbase talked about that. This was in December. That's why I'm shocked that this actually happened, because I thought this was a lock using DFlow. But the fact that they were able to come through and get that Polymarket data using Jupiter. I mean, so technically, and I talked about this earlier, they have both, which is fascinating. Now they can aggregate both. And because it's on Solana, and based on what they're doing with DFlow, anything can be tokenized now. Any outcome. Events are first-class citizens as tokens on Solana now. So very interested to see how this plays out. Because Polymarket has the partnership with Parcel, which is on Solana. Maybe I should have seen that coming. Hindsight, 2020, right? But this is huge. Integration with regulated exchanges. That'll be interesting to see how that all works out. And then they got the $35 million from Parify Capital settled in Jupe USD. That's the kicker. It's settled in their stablecoin, which gives them instant liquidity for their Jupiter Lend platform. Yeah, the fact that they got that, they bought it on chain, settled in Jupe USD is crazy. Good for them. I mean, there are a lot of teams who didn't get anywhere close to that for raises. So the fact that they got that, I mean, that's just, I mean, full disclosure, I'm a long time Jupe holder and Jupe staker. I love Jupiter. I'm so shocked that they've been able to ship so much. Pardon me. In the last 2 years, and it's only getting better, right? And then of course they talked about the QR pay with Jupiter Global and the credit card. This is huge, right? The fact that they have a credit card, it's not a debit card, it's a credit card. 1-to-1 USD, Visa. So 150 million merchants in the network. Yeah, man. What a show. Well, I mean, not what a show. What a day to talk about this stuff. I'm hoping to go to Jupiter's thing. I don't know where it's at next year. I mean, last year was in Istanbul for Cat Lumpur here for this year's in Malaysia. Would love to go next year. I love the tech. I love what they do. It's good stuff. All right. Well, I have to go make dinner. So, that's all for now. Thanks for joining me. This was after the show. Something I just do after the podcast. Podcast is at 1 p.m. Eastern. Anything that I didn't cover that I thought was worth talking about. I wanted to definitely talk about me almost getting fished again, but not getting fished again because not getting me, guys. But then again, I mean, Vitalik got SIM swap attacked. But that wouldn't be me. That wouldn't be me. Anyhow, I'll be on tomorrow. I don't know how it's going to be. I'll repost it. I'll be on with Rachel Wilkins tomorrow from Creatorify. We're going to have a live stream going on. I don't know if it's being streamed to the public. I'm assuming it is. It'll be about creation. We'll see. Something we're going to try. It's a pilot episode, so you can check that out tomorrow. Otherwise, you can catch me at 3 p.m. Eastern on Friday for my company, Beacon DeFi, premium education brand here in the space for DeFi, for onboarding and security. It's called Beat the Banks. I'll be at 3 p.m. Eastern. So might do a TDP variety show tomorrow. Depends on how I feel. My whole house is, for the most part, sick, except me and my youngest daughter. So knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But we'll see. With that said, take care, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me.